So this is a very old volume that I have. It's an original printing of those books that Rav Schick made by the hundreds and thousands. Now he's gone, and the distribution of these books, as far as I know, is stopped. A different group has taken over. But here, the ideas that he brings forth, which are really the thoughts, an extension of the thoughts of Rabbeinu HaKodesh, is very much alive to me. Something that's going to be tremendously helpful for all the different situations. In the introduction, Rav Schick brought us the idea that this world is a world of toil. No matter what you do, you can't escape the problems in this life. And the question is how do you handle it? Well, there are drugs and there are psychiatrists. And there are all different kinds of remedies for the pains that we suffer in this world. So we do have, Judaism is packed full of different ways to relate to what's going on in the world, but here is a much bigger idea that requires ERICH, APAYIM, which literally means long nostrils, but that means is that when a person gets angry, his nostrils flare. So here we see the idea of patience. We're in the face of very difficult situations. We are able to rise above it, and he says plainly, to find God within that situation. That's why the situation is happening. He's talking to us. So let's come over and we'll get a little bit better idea about what's going to be going on. And this is, like I say, the original print. It's an old book that's been around, and you see it's a little bit damage to it, but this is what it is. Let me get a better focus. And let's read what he says about the concept of parnasa. Parnasa, of course, means making a living. Because in order to make a living, a person has to run through pressures, different kinds of suffering that a person will do in order to get the job done. But what you have to do is rely only on Hashem Yisbarach himself. And make your faith in God stronger. Fortify yourself. And even though that you're in a situation where you're really pushed because of the moment that you're in, and to wait. You have to wait a long time to bear the difficulties that are involved in your job, in your panasa, until you get to a point where you're looking for mercy from heaven. Outside of Hashem, there is no great advice that you can get, no psychiatrist that can really lift you up, no book that you can read if you're not connected to Hashem Yisbarach. You have to pull Hashem closer to you. Maybe another way is to say that you have to be able to turn yourself closer to Him. The translation that you have to know that the Master of the universe, the King of the universe, Shal Olam of the world, Ito is with him, with you, Imo with you, Ito and with you, Ve'etzlo, and next to you, and by you. He's close. And he runs the world, he runs your life, specifically in this way. So everybody's level is different. There are no rich men who don't have problems as well. The whole thing is coming from Hashem Yisbarach. In order to be able to refine and to purify Nishmas, a person's neshama, and we're for sure that this is the reason why these happen, and the truth is that everything has to be good. The rabbis have already written like this. Anyone who joins the names of the heavens with his pain, so his parnasa doubles. Let's read this over again. Because the real truth is that the root of the cause and the suffering that a person goes through was the bitterness of his life, that a person is feeling. You get certain situations, you get very, very nervous. You get very, very, you're trembling over the difficulty that you face. Who machmas chesaron the das is because you lack das. Now, what does this mean? So he says you could see this whole idea brought out in the Likutei Moharan. Let's go. Shuhu rakok b'meni yizbar. What does the chesaron of das mean? It means that the flow of shefa bracha that's coming from Hashem Yisbarach is closed off from you. So what do you need? Shuhu rakok b'meni, because you're far from him. You're not turned from him. And because we sin, we do things which estrange ourselves from God. So many times, let me, careful. Let me get this back on. There we go. Chatov Alvanoisav. He says, Kamasha Kosev is written in Yeshaya, he says, because of the things that we do, they make a boundary, they separate us, there makes a separation between Beini, that is Hashem Yisbarach speaking, Uvenechem and you. You can't find him. You don't see him in what's going on. Person, the more the person sin, so less this das, which a das means the flow of the actual flow coming into you from the higher source and the more penimistic source, which is Hashem Yisbarach himself. Person doesn't make a terrible mistake unless he has a ruach of nonsense inside of himself. And the more he does it, he causes this hiddenness, that we are in a world of hiddennesses. And so more and more of that hiddenness comes over the person. And then all the things that a person lacks, all the money that you don't have, leaves you. Because he makes a shadow between you and Hashem, a darkness. And that's really where the pain comes from. But a person starts to settle himself down, and he knows that in fact that Hashem is everything. And he knows, and he testified, there is no reality other than Hashem Yisbarach. Think about this. Every single change, every single search, all the different changes of this world, constantly changing. It's revolving at a pace of 1,000 miles an hour, going around in a circle every single day in relationship to the sun. And the world is also moving through the solar system, through different kinds of things, and change is inevitable. You have to know that B'kol Tanua, V'tua, and Tanua, and these are words that Rav Schick uses a lot, and I love them. He says every single change, every single circumstance you find yourself in, from the time you wake up on one day to the end of that day, constantly changing. But he says, Shom, know this. Alufa Shal Olam Mamish, the Alufa Shal Olam is in all the changes. All the people that come to you, all the different kinds of situations in which you find yourself in regards to Panasa is all coming from him. You have to nullify yourself completely to Hashem Yisbarach. And then you have to wait, and you have to hope, and bear HaKol B'Lev Emes with a true heart. This is the concept of joining together in partnership the name of the heaven with your pain. Behind the that it reveals like this, that even in the middle of the person's pain, and the pressure that you see, it's like the mortgage payment is coming up. I mean, I've been through this. The mortgage payment, the electric payment is coming up, all the different kinds of things that you have to somehow find a way. So he says, that Hashem is clothed in all of these different aspects. It's inside of them. He is the panemius of them. And every pain that you have. Now he's using it in the third person singular, which is his pain. But let's talk about us. That's the way I'm doing it. And every time, every pain that you feel, it's a pain for him as well. Oz Beregashi is Pardach Bemeno called Poila Oven. So when you come to this level, then immediately leaves you all of those evil doers, V'yizke v'yichol, and you'll merit, V'yich v'chol v'loch yisperit b'netzas, and Hashem will come around and he'll double your parnasa. V'yukach l'shbolos rabbos, the person will earn the shbolos rabbos, the many, many different kinds of shefa that will come to him. V'vad shehicha b'lev emes, and the main thing is that you should have a pure heart, an emes dika heart. That you have to realize that Hashem is involved in your life all the time. And as a result of that, you got to bear it. You have to be able to handle this pressure because you know that Hashem is within the pleasure itself. The love of Hashem is in the actual action. So keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut, your mouth and your heart shut. And this is what you see, is that why is God doing this to me? You just start making complaints against God. Don't do that, chas v'shalom. So no, start thinking, why did Hashem do this to me? So, and there's nobody to help him. Why is Hashem punishing me like this? And we know this. Rak Tamed Yivrach Yisbarach. But the thing to do is flee to him, run to him, Yisbarach. Bitmimas, with pure, simply like a little child asking his mother, Gomor begomor, v'yasir v'yisapa, the fun of his kol libo, and say over to him, talk to him, tell him everything that you feel. Even if you feel like, why are you doing this to me? But start talking to him, get close to him, let him try to find the answer. He's in the answer. Then you will be able to merit all different kinds of flows of brachos. But the only way you can do this is by being patient, being a patient person. Now, savlan means to bear a burden, to be able to bear that burden. That the person should hope, and he should wait. V'yishto, keep his mouth, v'yishto, be quiet, v'yivakesh rachamim, and seek rachmanas from the source of everything. Kamosha Amr Chazal, the rabbi say, there's a Gemara brachos, kiblach the yisurin shetikuni, and b'boy rachamim. Take on the burdens of the pains that you feel in trying to make a living, and run over to him. Look, seek rachmanos. Pirish Rashi, so Rashi explains in that pasuk. He says, don't rebel, don't become a rebel with all of the problems that you have. And he's talking about business. He's talking about making a living, whatever that may be. This idea, you have to plant it really, really deeply, really well in your soul. That all the different kinds of pains that a person has, God forbid. The main thing is to be quiet, not to start thinking about, why did Hashem do this to me? Only to plead for mercy. Seek mercy. Now let's go over these words. Through this, by itself, a person will merit that would be revealed to him the secrets of the Tika Kedusha, which is Erich Anpin, which is the core of godliness within the world that we live in. So the Kesser, which is the secret of the crown, Bechinas, the Gemara Menachos, Shtok Kach Ola B'Machshava, Shtok Kach, Shato Kach Ya'ala B'Machshava, they'll come into your thought. Ki Al Yidecha Shtika, when you shtok, be quiet. Kach Ola B'Machshava, think about not saying anything. Don't get into the fight. Don't start becoming depressed over this. Instead, Ki Al Yidecha Shtika, because by keeping quiet, Sochali his alos B'cheshbon Ma, you're going to be able to come to the count of 45. Now, what is 45? Is the gematria of Adam, man. But it also is the the flow, the place of the flow. This is the gematria, the divine name Ma. His galus etzem elokusi yisborach. You'll be able to actually get into the stream and come closer and closer, because the dachakus and the pain that we feel in the different kinds of situations in which we find themselves, Hashem is in them. And so be able to find them and be quiet while the suffering is going on, and to keep looking, like what is he saying? Besod sig l'chochma shtika. So sayig l'chochma. He said that as the Pirkei Avos, it says a defense, a boundary, a guarding fence. For chochma is being quiet. Hasig v'chageda l'bal l'koach ma. So the idea is that you could come to the power of this concept called ma. He shtika. So how do you do that? Be quiet, let it flow. Kizev ikra hachokma. This is the main part of hachulei the shekochi ma. To understand that my koach is this concept of ma. Ma is what? It's Hashem. Ve'ein tolga bebechinit v'otzim yadi. It doesn't really depend on anything that I do. It's the koach of this ma. The idea zu he or ma. This is a more hachadash shemagala Rebbe Zal v'yifarsa b'Mashiach b'kirbacha l'kol ha'olam. Let's go over these words again. The Mashiach is really what we call the ma chadash. Now ma is really an expansion of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, which is really that area which brings das into us. It's spelled like Yud Vav Dalet Kei Aleph Vav Aleph Vav Kei Aleph. That's how you spell it. It comes to gematria 45. The Yidich Bezug He or Ma, the light of this name, the expansion of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. It's called the Ma HaChodesh. What does the Ma HaChodesh do? He says that it's revealed from Rebbe Zal. And actually he's telling you that this Ma HaChodesh is the Mashiach, is the concept of Mashiach that comes to rebuild, to build the broken parts. Or Tikkun Kol Lomos, so this is a light that will rebuild Kol Lomos, to know and make known his blood and become understood. She'ein shum mitzias below the Yisborach Allah, that there is no reality other than Hashem. This is the pathway. This is what they say in the Patach Eliyahu, that this name Ma is the pathway to find your way to Hashem. Everything that happens to you in the world, all different aspects, are godliness, are elokus, pure godliness, that he clothes himself, so to speak. He's speaking to us in our Yisurim. He's speaking to us, and he said, let me show you how the way out goes. That he is clothed in these different garments, which are shalamara einav, that according to what you see, you only see the outside, the part which is the painful part for you. You have to penetrate it and find the godliness that's inside of it. By being able to receive the Yisurim that you have in your life, you can find this by bearing this, by bearing it. Bearing means that you're solvent, you're able to manage or stay with it, to bear the pain. By the Kabbalah's the Yisurim ba'ava, in love, to realize that this is a situation you have to learn from. Find a way to come closer to Hashem. A person does become a rebellion as a result of the pains. They come to him. But the opposite is true. Be quiet. Bear them. And when you're quiet in the face of Yisurim, and you turn to Hashem and you seek Him in the Yisurim, it reveals that everything is coming for Him, Yisbarach. So they're only what he has, a person is able to do them, goes through the nature of Rachmanis. The Hasmid Besichas Zul Tefillah v'Yisapa the Fund of Yisbarach is called Mirud Serosiv. Let's go over the words again. The Hasmid Besichas Zul Tefillah, to spend a lot of time praying. This is what a person needs. Try to seek Him. Seek Him is praying Him. He said, "V'yisapa the fund of Yisbarach," and say over to Hashem in your own language. He says, as Kol Mariros, all the bitterness v'tzarosiv in his heart, and all of the pains that he feels. V'im Achshan, if a person is stubborn in this, and he's strong in this, and through this, the end of all things, that the day will come when you'll get out of this pain. You'll be able to handle it. And the shefa of Shem's mercy will come down to you, his love. Because Parnasa only comes in Hashem's hands. The rabbi says, Af mafteich shel Parnasa, that also the key for Parnasa, he bidei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ansham, is in the hands of Hashem Yisbarach. Find him, receive your blessings. This is Baruch Fleischman. We're listening to this tremendous book by Rabbi ELIEZER SHLOMO SCHICK that was given to me, I'm trying to think, 45 years ago. This is Baruch Fleischman.